Hello, and welcome back to my series on music education in middle school. Today we're going to be talking about different music methods that are used in the music classroom. So not only specific methods for classroom instruction, but also just the different genres and interests that students will have as they start getting older and thinking about what they want to pursue in high school and higher education. One of the most popular ways that a lot of musicians have learned how to play an instrument or read music is through the Suzuki method. The Suzuki method can be used at any age, and it's very performance-based. It focuses a lot on repetition, imitation, and listening skills. The Suzuki method is very specific, and so some people use it and some people don't, and it can be used at any age. Another method of learning music that has been increasing in popularity recently is the Orff instrument method. This method uses specific instruments that are intended to be children friendly, so they're pretty durable, they're often made of wood. The method centers around percussion, so somewhat like the Suzuki method, there's a lot of repetition and imitation, but this method is more looking to be creative. So students listen to what the teacher is displaying for them, and then they might create their own rhythmic pattern. There's a lot of rhythmic patterns and measures of repetition that then the students would copy after the teacher. This can be used with very small children who don't know how to read, don't know how to count, don't know how to do any simple kind of math, and that is one of the things that draws a lot of elementary schools to it. It's a good introductory way to interact with the material as a young child, and it can be used all throughout the school ages. There are supposed to be 4 stages with the Orff method. The first one is imitation. So imitating and repeating after what the teacher is doing. The second is exploration. So that would be maybe taking part of the rhythmic measure that the teacher just provided and then trying it in a different way. The third would be improvisation. So taking several different rhythmic patterns that the teacher has shown and putting them together in new ways and showing the entire class. And the final one would be composition. So maybe taking that improvisation and then officially putting it on paper as the student's official composition, a new composed piece. Again, a lot of this is rhythmic or percussive. Orff instruments can be wooden glockenspiels or xylophone-like instruments or a lot of different drums. These 2 methods are just examples. There are countless options of structured curriculum that are out there for teachers to use. So any music teachers beginning are probably going to piece together several different curricula. But perhaps the most important thing to consider as a middle school music teacher is that this time is a very transitional time for students. So they're thinking about high school and thinking about what activities they want to pursue and what interests are going to last from their childhood days into their adolescent and teenage years and then into higher education. So at this point, students may have a basic understanding of some different music genres and music specialties, and they may come to your classes super excited about jazz or super excited about orchestra. And as the music teacher, you want to be able to facilitate that, point them in the right direction, and have different options available. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of this. So jazz was the first genre that I mentioned, not because it is any more important than the others, but just because it was the first one that came to mind. It's very unique, and a lot of students might really be fascinated by it. Jazz is easily recognizable when they are out in restaurants or maybe at a party and jazz music is playing. It's fun, it's upbeat, and it's distinctive from other music styles, and so it might really capture students' attention. Jazz students are going to want to understand chord structures really, really well, and they are going to want to know how to put together harmonies and what makes jazz unique. So as the music teacher, teaching jazz, you want to be equipped for harmony, structure, chords, melodic patterns, and improvisation. So jazz students need to be super proficient in their own individual instrument because a major part of jazz is individual instruments jumping out from the crowd all of a sudden and playing an improvised solo. So students need to be prepared to take the floor at any moment and come up with their own 8 counts or whatever the situation may be. So that is going to be a big piece of jazz for students. Orchestra will be another big interest for a lot of students thinking about music in high school. Pretty much any of the students that are playing string instruments that are looking into performance or private lessons are going to be interested in orchestra because that's a really easy way for them to have access to performances. It's much more rare that a student will be able to have a solo violin concert or recital, but they can always participate in the orchestra concert and have lots of opportunities to perform and play in front of an audience. Orchestra students are going to be much more interested in music history and music theory than jazz students are. It's fun to share important music history pieces and works and composers so that these students can understand stylistic choices and sounds from different eras. A good thing to focus on with these students would probably be vocabulary, music vocabulary, and sheet music proficiency. Students need to know how to read scores, how to read in key signatures and time signatures properly so that they can play with the group. And obviously watching the conductor and reading the conductor's movements properly. And always, you're going to have students that just want to sing. They may not have any experience with instruments, but they may really love singing and making music. These students might be interested in just singing at home, getting to know their voice as their instrument, or enjoying music in a group, singing in a choir. Other students may be really into musical theater and want to tap into that Broadway aspect of things. Those students will be balancing theater classes and theater interests, performance interests like that, with their music time and rehearsal. So that can be a challenge as a school teacher. But all of these singers, regardless, are going to want to understand vocal technique, how to make their voice do what they want it to do. And that can definitely be a challenge with adolescents, since many of them may not have a fully developed voice and probably won't be super self-aware about how to use their voice. And so this can be a really formative time and a really helpful time, which is a fun challenge as the teacher. This will prepare them well for high school and getting older and maturing and developing their voice in a healthy way. This is just a small glimpse into all the different things that can go into a music education program in a middle school. So really, it's just an introduction to think about what kinds of things you might need to be prepared for as a music teacher, the concepts that you want to be familiar with, things that you know you should look into, research more about, familiarize yourself more. Often as music educators, we have one specialty that we focused on, maybe a personal interest or just a specific talent that we have. But as music educators, unfortunately, we do need to be prepared to prepare all of our students, regardless of their specific interests. So middle school is a really important time where students are looking into different specialities, and we need to be prepared to help them with that. Thank you so much for watching this video. The next video we will be talking about the specifics of the Georgia Fine Arts requirements and how we can use those standards to help prepare better for each lesson and unit. Thank you so much. See you next time.